Okay, guys, so I think the stream has started and we are good to go. So, welcome to the revision session for business analytics, and this is for Entom specifically. I would be majorly touching all the main concepts which are needed for your Entom exam, and where I have seen people doing mistakes, like some silly mistakes which could have been avoided like very easily if they had a little knowledge. This is a common mistake. So I will try to cover that. Some important concepts on which people generally face problem. Again, that would be majorly for your quiz 2 course, as you know, numericals mostly come from your week 5, which is primal dual, linear programming, that ANOVA table, and path diagram, variation inflation factors, those things and all, interpretation in the uh, your ANOVA table, and then would be your logistic regression. So those are the major chunk for your numerical area. Base theorem and all they do ask, but in the end term, what I have mostly observed, either it's a this quiz 2 heavy portion, or you will have one big question based on your discourse analysis, like that question where we had uh, your both chi-square test of independence and chi-square goodness of it both being asked. So be ready for any kind of situation. And my observation for this term was that neither in quiz 1 or quiz 2 nothing related to primal dual came. So you can expect a good story based question on your primal dual. There was one question, if you will check warehouse or customer on discourse, you will get some important idea, like that was a good question. Most of the time they generally give you a problem statement, like the mathematical expression of linear programming, and then you proceed to ask what is the number of constraint, number of decision variable, etc, etc. But it is also possible they will just give you an open-ended story, that this is the story, and you need to solve the write the formal definition of the LPP and then answer the question. So be ready for both of these things. So few important tips before jumping into syllabus and all, basic things. First of all, answer all the question. There is no negative marking, so answer all. Even if you don't remember, take any guess, put zero, put something feasible which can be there. So try to do that stuff. Again, remember your units, and especially that percentage decimal thing. This is very weird that students make mistake in quiz 2 and then again in enter. So that is something very disappointing if you are trying to make mistake in percentage and decimal. Also, don't by default assume they will always ask decimal, sorry, percentage. Sometimes people are in the flow of percentage and the question was for decimal. So this is something also not really good. And then comes your part that you don't have very heavy calculation, so read the questions properly, because most of the hints would be here only. So it's, as I said, it's a business course, not a math course, management sciences. So you need to understand all the trickery which can be played with you, all the way you can be confused is going to be within the question paper. So your numerical, if you understand that this is the linear demand curve, so probably what kind of formula you need to use. But students don't remember these things, so that is where student gets confused. So try to be calm in the exam, remember basic concept ki ye linear wala hai, this is a constant elasticity curve, etc, etc. These are few things. Then week 1, I will just try to touch few basic things. Week 1 mostly they have graphs and all which they don't ask. One thing which you can check is PP plot and QQ plot may there was some differences. Know the theory, what is difference in PP plot, QQ plot, and one focuses on the middle part, one focuses on the tail part. I think recently there was a question as well in MSQ. So PP QQ plot, and then types of chart and for which purpose they are used. So I think previously I did in my term, I think January or May, I made this chart. So you can see the matching and you can refer it. That box plot is used for this kind of outlier detection. Line chart is used for trend analysis. Column stack chart is used for comparing parts of a whole. Pie chart is used for proportion. So these basic things you should know, which chart is used for which purpose. Okay. Week 1 say ideally they generally don't ask a very good question, one marker theory or maximum two marker. And one more thing which I forgot to tell, question paper will be for 45 marks. So basically you have opportunities to score 100 out of 100, because whatever you are scoring, it will be capped to 40. So let's say if you attempted for 45 marks and you scored 43 marks, your total score would be 40 by 40. Okay, so it's not going to be scaled down. Whatever you have, it would be taken as the maximum. If you have sorry, minimum. If you have 43, you come down to 40. If you have 38 out of 45, it will become 38 out of 40. So this is also a very good score considering this thing. So please see that you are well versed with all the basic concepts, because let's say if you don't answer the chi-square goodness of fit test, which you feel is problematic for you, so maybe you can find some another question, right? So be very thorough with whatever you are studying. I'm not saying, let's say you are not don't have time, you are leaving something, fine, that's not a big problem, but whatever you are studying, that should be on point. Like, you should not be able to do any mistake in that questions. Coming to week 2, which is your basically chi-square goodness of fit. Here most of the confusion comes in the degree of freedom. What is degree of freedom? N minus k minus 1. N is bins, number of bins. K is number of parameters which you will be estimating from the sample. So if it is given in the question paper itself that the distribution is supposed to follow normal distribution with some mu and some sigma, you are not doing any estimation. You are directly using that, right? So therefore, in that situation, you are not estimating any parameter. So this second part would be zero. Remember this thing. This is very important. A lot of people make mistake in this one. And I think in your quiz 2 or quiz 1 there was a question regarding this. uh, People made mistakes, so be very cautious of this part, that parameters would be how many you are estimating, not the entire parameter in your given theory. Again, one important thing, uh, goodness of fit is used to check if sample follows a distribution. So this is also one thing, when to use which test. If they are asking you any question which says, this is supposed to follow a normal distribution, he made a hypothesis, this would be following a Poisson distribution. So in that case, it has to be goodness of it. And then you have test of independence in week 3. So in test of independence, we check for two discrete variable. I hope you know the difference between discrete and continuous. So here we check for two discrete variables. Are they independent or not? So it is quite simple. The contingency table thingy, if you remember, you have few variables this side and then few variables this side, and then you find expected using row total, column total, etc., etc., and then grand total. So that thing is very easy to do. Mostly people have problem in this one. So इसके लिए I will suggest try to check on Discourse. You had a aqua filter question, probably that you can check. That is a good one, because in that they gave you the distribution from the table itself. So they required you to know that the observed, they will give you expected. How do you find expected? So first you find the probability and then multiplied by your number of length of your data frame, or what you want to say, number of samples. So that way you get your expected. This probability might be given to you as this kind of function fz, if it is a normal distribution, right? Standard normal distribution, mu is equals to 0, sigma equals to 1. So this might be given to you. And I remember that aqua question, aqua or maybe something related to water purifying, that question had this kind of thing. They gave you fz values, so student were not able to calculate what to put in expected. So remember, you first calculate your probability, expected probability, and then you multiply by this number of samples. So you fill this thing. Maybe you can refer your graded assignment 1. Same methodology was followed here, so you can check in your collab what was done in this one. In these weeks, anyone has any doubt? If there is any doubt, then you can raise your hand. Else, I will continue with one important topic, which is p-value. So, anyone, any issue in this week? Any doubt? Else, I'll continue. Okay. So, fine. How then? I mean, both these tests you would be making some hypotheses, right? So you should remember what hypothesis is being used in your goodness of fit. Can anyone tell me what is the null hypothesis? And what is your null hypothesis in test of independence? Anyone? You can open your mic, it's okay, speak up. Because they ask these questions, they will say that the null hypothesis is being rejected in this test or not. So you should know what is the null hypothesis in both these situations. In goodness of it, it is sample follows the given distribution. So I'm just writing sample follows distribution, and here it is they are independent. What are they? The two discrete variables you will be checking. So this is what you should know, what is your null hypothesis in both these cases. And coming to your p-value, can anyone tell me what is p-value? They have asked this question in your theory, MCQ, MSQ. So knowing p-value is very important. Anyone? Guys, anyone? प्रिपरेशन नहीं करी क्या अभी तक कुछ? No one remembers anything about p-value, or when do you reject, what do you do?
Yeah, if p value is greater than alpha, we should accept the null hypothesis.
P-value greater than alpha, except you don't reuse the word except actually. So this is also one main problem I was about to highlight. You only say two things: probability of test statistic. That is also incomplete. Kind of like you are on the right path, but not exactly that thing. One important word you are missing. So what is p-value? Let me paste this definition because that is from the book. It will be probably more accurate. So this thing. So a p-value is essentially probability of observing data as extreme or more extreme than what observed, assuming null hypothesis is true. This is very important. You assume null hypothesis is true. So this is important part. So p-value is basically probability of observing the data given null hypothesis is true, right? And in simple terms, you can also see it tells us how likely it is that our results occurred by a chance. Okay, so जितनी ज़्यादा p value हमारी होगी, then that's a issue for us because that is telling it is coming from our that part. So when do you reject your null hypothesis and when do you not? So based on p value, it would be if p value is less than alpha, I will less than equal to alpha. What I will do, I will reject my H0, basically your null hypothesis, and other case would be fail to reject. This is what the correct statement is. Don't make this mistake that you are writing accept the null hypothesis. There is a good question on your MSQ. They will give you 8 options, all possible combination. Reject the alternate hypothesis, which is etc etc. Accept the null hypothesis, which is etc etc. Fail to reject the null hypothesis, which is etc etc. So there they will play with two things. First of all, reject or fail to reject any option which has except, or any option which says with respect to your alternate hypothesis, that is going to be wrong. First of all, so eliminate those options. Then you need to remember which is the correct null hypothesis. So this also you can check. As per my knowledge, I think this is correct. So you can cross check, but I remember this was the correct thing. Goodness of it, sample follows the distribution. Test of independence, they are independent discrete variables. So that is what you should know. So fail to reject is the correct word. Okay, so and what is your alpha? So sometimes you will see this in your question paper. Alpha is what? Can anyone tell me the name? Alpha is called as significance level. So or there is another word which is known as confidence level, or you can say confidence level interval. So generally you will see questions writing 95% confident. What does this mean? This means my alpha would be 1 minus 95%, which is same as 0.05. So I hope you get this thing, right? What is 0.05 coming from? Why do we generally say 0.05? Like this is a very common alpha value which is used across statistics. You can go if you want more confidence, if you want to be 99% confidence, you can have corresponding alpha. So remember, you compare p with alpha, not with your confidence level. Okay, so always convert your confidence level to significance level by doing 1 minus that thing. uh, okay, so this was one thing. And another thing which I wanted to come on is that this was done. Okay, null hypothesis, test of independence, here, confidence level and all. So this is what you should be good at, like what is alpha, what is my confidence level, and what do we use, and when to do that. There is another way to reject or fail to reject the null, let's say with the help of test statistic. So what is that? Anyone remember? Chi-square में when do we reject the null or fail to reject the null? With help of your test statistic. Both these things you should know. I'm highlighting these with this, so you should remember these things which I'm highlighting. I will share the PDF later on the WhatsApp group. So try to remember these things. What are null hypotheses? When do you reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis? Okay. So this is what. Come on, I asked one thing, right? What is your another way to reject the null? Anyone? Test statistic, chi-square calculated.
When chi-square calculated is greater than chi-square tabulated.
Chi-square calculated is greater than tabulated. Correct, correct. So calculated, basically if calculated comes out to be greater than your tabular value, basically whatever you are taking from the table. So in general, they don't ask you, to do any numerical where you have to refer the table. And if they do, they will paste a screenshot, or either they will give you some values. So know how to find corresponding value and all, right? So this tabular value, this actually occurs for, it would be something like this. You will have degree of freedom on this way, and the alpha value this way. So you should know how to read it. So tabular value will exist for some degree of freedom and some alpha. So alpha you can take from the question. If they don't give you any alpha, by default everyone assumes 0.05. If they don't give you, if they give you confidence level, then you can calculate your alpha. Because if they give you 99% confidence level, that means your alpha is 0.01, right? So then you don't say that I assume 0.05. Either they will give you confidence, something this related to that, some percentage of confidence, or they will directly say at significance level of 0.01, at significance level of 0.05. So you should know what to search. Alpha value they will give, degree of freedom you will be calculating. So this is what you should know. Sometimes this is also written as x critical. So basically this is the main thing. So again, remember this one. When to reject null hypothesis? When your calculated chi-square value is going to be greater than tabulated value at certain degree of freedom. Okay, so this is another thing. And I think with respect to this part, which is your basics of charts, this part, your test statistic and your hypothesis, goodness of it and all, we are done here. I will show one question. So if there is any doubt related to this one, please let me know. Else, we I will go ahead with that question. I have already solved it, so I'll just show the intuition, how to read the question and how to understand the way to move forward. Any doubt, anyone? Okay, so I think everyone knows. So this is uh, one question with respect to your discourse analysis. Discourse analysis, they asked, two, three times, I think two times, once in January 2024, and then back again in your this one as well. Your January 2025, right? Huh? दोनों बार they have asked. They have just changed the value. So you should know how to read this thing. So maybe they changed the data set or whatever, but I'm referring to the January 2024. So this is what I'm referring to. So they have some, discourse data given to you about students being this and that. They told you that they were taking, these terms. Past data was collected for these terms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 terms का data है हमारे पास. Each term has 100 randomly selected student IDs. Okay. Of the 100 student IDs, 50 were male, 50 were female. So this information they are giving, and then learners in discourse have been, given some category tag. They followed the instructions, did not follow the instruction, or do not access the discourse at all, right? These are the three categories. So what kind of categories are these? These are your discrete variables, right? They are some discrete. Every person would be belonging to one of these categories. Either he followed, either he did not follow, or he did not open discourse at all. There is no other possibility apart from this. Okay, so this is what they gave. That male sample was this. So basically, Jan 2022 में 20 people followed the instructions. May 2020, 30 people, it is given here, basically male, followed instruction. So you read this thing. This is, a lengthy passage, and it takes some time to digest the information. So, whenever you see a lengthy passage, if you are in hurry, I will say ignore that. Try to first solve, entire question paper. In business analytics, especially the last week, all the questions mostly would be independent. So try to, first take everything which you can get. In exam, it does not matter you are scoring marks from ANOVA table or from your theory questions. So with respect to marks point of view, I would suggest, try to first do everything which you can, which is comfortable. If you think this question is, tough to read or something like that, sometimes it is better to read the questions and then come to the passage. It gives you understanding which part you need to focus on and what you need to do. So sometimes it's also okay when you see this passage is very big, you cannot understand in one go. Like when you will read this question paper first time, when even I was solving, I read it, it's not easy to do in the first reading. So you need to read it 2 3 times and then read the question to draw the correlation, what I need to do, what I not need to do. So sometimes if you feel this is, will be time taking, you are not able to do it or very confident, skip it for a time being, go to next question, solve everything which you can, come back with a calm mind. Because in exam, when we, lose that confidence ki we studied this thing, we have to solve it, and then we are not able to solve it, that creates a very weird mindset, chaos wala ho jata hai. So even in business analytics or any other course, you are prone to make some errors. So try to do everything which you can with a easy mindset, without having any difficulty, and then come back to tough questions. And this is not for just BA. Any paper you are solving, you feel this is tough, leave it for a time being. There is an option to mark for review, and then come back. So assume we are here. It says 20 people, 20 male followed, instructions, 30 followed, 25 followed in that term, 45 followed, and then 25, and then 35. This is term wise. So they gave you something. Now the question was, first question was, what is expected number of female learners who should be in the category not followed instruction? If Dr. Milo is interested to see if independence between learners and genders in different access categories in different terms. So सबसे बड़ा कीवर्ड हमारे पास जो यहाँ पे बन रहा था, that was independence. So when we read this thing, we know for sure that we are dealing with the chi-square test of independence kind of situation. Okay, then chi-square test of independence happens between two things. We have two different type of discrete variables. So you need to understand what kind of discrete variables would be there. What he's saying, what is expected number of female and not followed. So you get to know that one discrete variable would be gender, male and female, and second would be the category, the instruction category which were given here, followed, not followed, this one, sorry, followed, not followed, or have not access. So by reading this question itself, आपको table किन दो चीजों का बनाना है, right? So we come to this side, we make a table, gender, male and female on this side, and then the instruction category, followed, not followed, did not even open the discourse. Okay, इस table को कैसे fill करना था वो देखते हैं. So if you see here, they have given you this thing, male samples who followed, male samples who had not accessed the discourse at all, and then this thing, female samples who have followed the instruction, right? And rest of the learners in the respective sample have not followed the instruction. This was again one important part. So जब भी आप बड़ा सा comprehension पढ़ो, please make sure 2-3 मिनट अच्छे से read करो. There would be some information which would help you in solving. If you don't read this part, if you just see at the numbers, very likely you will not be able to solve it because it is needed. So how I came to this conclusion, first of all, हर टर्म में there were 50 male 50 female, 6 terms, therefore I have 300 male 300 female, 600 would be total students. Okay, we come to this one. Now it says male followed, right? So how do I get this thing? Male who followed, you come from here. You add up all these things, you end up having a male who followed, right? So this is your male who followed, and then you have not followed, not accessed. So let's see this. It says for male sample, this had not followed the instruction. Yani ki in sabka sum, whatever you will do, 20 plus 30 plus 25, 45, this, all this thing is supposed to come here, and we can check it. So let me see this one. So what was the sample saying? It was saying 20 plus 30. So also one thing, try to practice with this calculator. Exam may you will be more comfortable where is what, but it's not a very necessary thing. 20, 30, 25, 45, 25, 35, 25. Then we have 45, 25, 45 plus 25 plus, and then last is 35. What does it become? 180. And इसी चीज को we used in this column. 180 यहाँ पे what I have written, male who did not follow, it came from this one. Then it asked for male who had not accessed the discourse at all. Similarly, we will add these things up. What will come? It will come here. Male who did not access. It was coming out to 29. Now, how do I get male who followed? So we know this thing, we have total 300 males. So if 180 are following, 29 are not opening discourse at all, that means whatever is left would be here. So I fill leftover part 300 minus 180 minus 29 in this column. Similarly, for female, I will do the same. You get your contingency table. Then what do we do for our expected frequency? Column total into row total by grand total. So you do all the stuff, you come to the answer. 173 was the correct answer, and this was accepted. So main intuition here was not to show how to do the question, but how to read and how to know which test, which kind of contingency table would be made and what not. Okay, so यहाँ पे we could see expected number and test of independence की बात हो रही थी. Therefore, it would be chi-square test of independence. Chi-square test of independence between which we were talking of female learner and some instruction category. Therefore, table इन्हीं दोनों के बीच में बनेगा. Why I told this thing? If you see this question, similarly, we have another table. If Dr. Milo is interested to see if only male learners in different access categories in different terms are independent. यहाँ पे भी independent शब्द का इस्तेमाल हुआ है. That means we are doing chi-square test of independence. But between which people? Here we said only male learners. So we know that category is fixed. So here we will be doing access categories and different terms, right? It says in different access categories and in different terms. So किसके बीच में टेबल बनाना था? Access categories and terms. So this was my table. Followed, not followed, did not open, and then number of terms. Term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5, term 6. This is how you make the table, and this is how you do. Calculation is not that tough because you have calculator, but if you don't understand which table is to be made, what is to be done, you are not able to do the question. So this is what your table would look like, and that's how you do that. So again, basic calculation, chi-square statistic, observed minus expected ka whole square by expected. You do that, you get the answer. Similar question here, what is observed frequency in bin 1? So they will tell you the bins here, less than 35, this thing. You bin the data, and then you have this thing which is coming. So here they were saying this thing. See, Dr. Maggio assumes all learners, yani ki we are talking of both things, male, female. In the followed instruction, again we are just considered for the followed instruction, are normally distributed with some mean and some standard deviation. So they gave you the parameters. Each BA term is taken as a sample point to identify. The following 3 bins are given. So these are your bins, and basically this is how it looks like. Bin 1, bin 2, bin 3. What is your observed frequency? And this is for your expected frequency column. So they gave you this hint. These bins divide solution space into equal areas. This is very important. So reading this, you get to know you just need to divide, put all these expected frequency equally. So, take some time. This question is big and difficult to follow. So whenever you will do this, you will be, I'll share the link. It's already on Discourse. So you will be good to go. But mostly the questions they ask are like this. So this question required both things. What everyone needs to know is, when these type of questions come in exam, don't always think टेस्ट ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस से आया है तो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन भी टेस्ट ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस का ही होगा. यू कुड गेट नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ऑन योर गुडनेस ऑफ इट एज वेल. So mix and match of topics would be there. Be open to this thing. Don't always assume. And similarly, this thing again, how many degree of freedom is present in the hypothesis test? So again, what is degree of freedom? Number of bins minus number of parameters which are being estimated minus 1. कितने bin थे? 3. Parameters, did we estimate any? No. And minus 1. So you end up having 2. So this question was a little big, but try to digest this one. It's a little tough to do, but it's on Discourse. Do it yourself once, else it would be a little tough to just go with after the watching of session. So any doubt, anyone? Else I move forward. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, remember this kind of situation, because you need to know when you reject, when you not reject, and which critical value you need to read from the table. So this kind of situation would be there. Correct alpha and degree of freedom is needed. So I think we are majorly done with week 1, 2, and 3. Week 3 mein there is one more topic. Oops, sorry. Week 3 mein you will also have one more topic, which is going to be this one, Bayes theorem. It's quite easy to do. Try to just see all the questions which you have. Generally they give you this question, I mean, based on the basic one. There was one question called as visa rejection. Try to search on Discourse, you will see that question. Go through that, because that was an interesting question where they asked some information, what to do, what not to do. So exactly search this question on Discourse, you will get this access. This question, what was being asked based on this question. So whenever I say refer Discourse, go to Discourse, you will find very good resources. All the things are compiled, all the corrections are compiled. Please make sure you refer Discourse, that will make your life much easier. So Bayes theorem के questions are easy to do. If you don't remember the formula, I will suggest do this thing. uh, Probability of A given B times probability of B. So you just write this thing. What is this? Numerator by denominator, whole probability, and then multiplied by just probability of a denominator. This thing would be equal as, you exchange the things. Probability of B given A into, because here A is in denominator, therefore we are supposed to write probability of A. Now you can send this term in the denominator side. So this takes up your Bayes theorem wala formula. Now I hope you all remember what is prior, what is likelihood, what is marginal, and all that stuff. So right, remember this formula. How to remember it, I told you this definition, but you are good to go. Mostly they ask this kind of question. The rejection question was good one, because they gave you some information about some prior rejections and some distribution. There were two visa center, people are sending this percentage in center A, this percentage in center B, this percentage rejects this much, this percentage rejects that much. In which center will you be sending your application? So that is important, and that is what you need to do. Is someone saying something in chat? Okay. So Bayes theorem is here. Week 1 to 3, I think that's more than enough. One good possibility of a combined question on goodness of it and test of independence. Else, I think यहाँ से फिर ज़्यादा they should not ask. Then coming to your week 4. Week 4 में you will have mostly related to your basics of linear regression. Again, ANOVA table, remember that. I will share more details here. ANOVA pe. Then some basics of your elasticity and demand. Remember, elasticity is this percentage change in quantity upon percentage change in price. Okay, this is the formula, and that's how you will do that. Sometimes they will give you a confusing statement. In my short notes, I have already clarified this thing, that whenever you hear or see this word written, that let me show it instead. This is the short notes, it's already available. I hope you all have access to it. Else I am giving the link in chat. everyone please open it by link. You will have access to a lot of things. So yeah, coming to the short notes on this part, was this? Yeah, this one. Elasticity is percentage change in demand per unit percentage change in price. This is also important. How to capture demand, increase the revenue. They will ask sometimes in MCQ, small theory question they ask. So please, remember these things. What is elastic? What is inelastic and all. Then sometimes they will say these things. You know, numerical will say constant between 2 point of time, or maybe something like constant for next 2 3 months. So in that case, stick your percentage formula, percentage change in quantity upon percentage change in price. Stick to this formula until unless they are saying elasticity is constant, or they are saying elasticity, the curve is constant elasticity demand response curve. This term is very important. Until unless they are going to mention it is constant for entire your p values, then only you are going to use your constant elasticity formula. If they say it is constant for next 2 3 months, or it is constant for something like that, you are not supposed to use this formula. It will give you wrong answer. Okay, by chance maybe the answer might come in the same range, so if you are lucky it's okay, but remember this thing. um, so regarding constant elasticity curve, remember one more thing: it does not have an intercept. So if they ask intercept, it would be basically your log C, which you get after transformation. So one thing is that it does not have intercept. And in your linear demand response curve, this one, demand of P is equals to D naught minus MP. Here, this intercept is D naught, which is also known as market size. So sometimes they will give you, ANOVA table, and they will say, what is market size? What is your satiating price? So you should know these terms by name. What is market size? What is satiating price and all that stuff? Then you can apply the definition or the formula. Okay. So remember these things. And yeah, also small theory questions, they can come. If they come, you need to remember these facts, not something out of the box. Some assumptions of simple linear regression: errors are independent, errors are having equal variance, errors are normally distributed, and homoscedasticity, etc. So you can check those things. But these are important theory questions. They come sometimes. Theory questions come from like this: properties of demand response curve, what is latent demand and all that stuff. So remember small theory questions: what is likelihood, what is prior, what is posterior, what is marginal. So remember some basic definition, uh, explanation. Okay, what is what, how do we capture this thing? So you can see latent demand can be captured by decreasing the price. So these are some small facts. Go through this short notes by detail. This is actually short, but it does not mean you are just scrolling it. Read it line by line and try to understand why that statement is being written here. So this thing is also important: strategies of increasing the revenue. These are just one marker MCQ. If they ask, and if you remember, you get marks. If you don't remember, you don't get marks. So yeah, week 4, this is what we have. Let's come back to here. So as I was saying, you will have this kind of situation, and then your basic linear demand curve, D is equals to D naught minus MP. And then there is another curve, D is equals to C, P to the power minus epsilon, this one as well. So here we apply log, and then this becomes log of D is equals to log of C minus epsilon log of P. So you should know to do the comparison of this one with your y is equals to beta naught plus beta 1 xy. So these things you should know. If they give you a statement that you transformed your variables to log transformation, and then you are getting intercept of this and a slope of this, then you should know what is going to be your elasticity, because you can see from here elasticity is minus ka beta 1. Okay, so now you know that elasticity would be negative of the slope. This is very important. Similarly, C is e ki power b naught, right? Log C is equals to b naught. So these things are important. They will say what is uh, what is the, does anyone remember the name of C, like the term we use for C in words? Any guess? C is demand at
Demand at
price.
price is equals to 1.
Correct. This is very important. They will not ask you what is C. They will just say, tell me demand at price equal to 1. So either you go by basic definition, you have your function with you, T of P is equals to C times P ki power minus epsilon. So you put P equals to 1. You understand this will again become 1. So demand at 1 equals to C itself, right? So they will not directly ask what is C. They will say, tell me demand at price equal to 1. These kind of questions are very common. So you should be able to read the question, understand what I need to do here. Week 4 में तो इतना ही आता है. ANOVA we will come in week 6. Wait for a time because that is multiple linear regression, easy to show things there. Week 5 primal dual, इसको अच्छे से करके जाना. I am assuming a good question or maybe a medium level question can be there. So primal dual के questions, do it. As I said, one question you can look after was your consumer warehouse one. This was from your discourse. Check it, consumer warehouse. Another one, they will just give you some problem statement. They will say, maximize z is equals to something, constraints, etc., etc. So this is easy to do because you have the mathematical problem with you. And this is a little tough because again, you read the problem statement and then you convert into this part and then you answer it. So first वाले के लिए थोड़ा सा preparation कर लेना, understand how to read these things. Now coming to what to remember here. So first thing is primal dual conversion, and another one is your standard form. Like this is something which people forget. So let's first see what is standard form. Does anyone remember what is standard form of primal or dual? Anyone? Standard form of primal or dual? Any idea, any guess? Keep interacting because exam may, if you do mistake, that is not good. Here, no one is going to say anything. What is a primal? Someone was saying something?
In standard form, do we have like all less than equal to equations?
Less
The
than
constraints.
Constraints for what?
For the objective function, and objective function doesn't have any constraint, but I mean all the constraints that are there, they're always less than equal to.
Okay.
And even if there are
But
equal to constraint,
Actually,
then
it has to be if you have maximizing.
yeah, and
If you have
primal is
maximizing concept,
infinite.
this term, then your 1 second. So when you have maximizing, objective function, then all your constraint either they have should less than equal or less than equal.
Equal to,
So
yeah.
these are okay. When you have
And here
minimizing,
they
then you want greater than or greater than equal to. गलती से भी equal to मत लिख देना. That is the blunder. First of all, so I think standard form is very important. So I'm highlighting this one, standard form. This thing maximizing में you need less than or less than equal to. Minimizing के case में you need greater than or greater than equal to. Then again, what is primal dual? Tell me what is primal or dual. Anyone? What is primal? What is dual? What is the difference, or what is why do we study this thing, primal or dual, etc., etc.? Anyone?
I know how to solve, but what is it? I didn't know.
Correct. So the question, why I was saying read that consumer wala question. Let me check if I can open that. If someone remembers which year had that, then I can open it, else I'll search on Discourse. So the thing is, when they will not tell you, okay, first let me go to Discourse, business analytics, search business analytics. That was consumer surplus, no, warehouse. March 2024, I think this one. So this was the problem statement. If you can see, ये एक table दिया हुआ था, and then they asked, a part supplier must assign some supply from 5 warehouses to 3 customers such that total demand is etc., etc., warehouses, etc., etc. Read this thing, right? They have given this thing. Why this question becomes different from other ones? Because this is where you have to formulate. Okay, and another thing was you can formulate problem in different manner. That is why different answers were accepted. So one thing which I noticed here, people have some misconception. Like I saw it on quiz 2K during WhatsApp group pay that someone was saying number of decision variable is row into column. So 5 into 3 15, that is okay. But someone was saying constraint is row plus column, 5 plus 3 8. That is not correct. That is just a coincidence. That is not correct. So don't do that. And now coming back to primal and dual. This question you can look later. I am pasting the link in chat. So have a look here how to do that and what to do. So let me come back to this one. What is primal dual? So I think in your exam, it's good that you know how to convert these things from primal to dual. Table is already in your short notes. Make use of that, right? So the thing is, primal dual conversion can only happen when you have, primal in your standard form. The table which I've pasted in short notes, this one can be only used when you already have your primal in your standard form. Okay, do not use this table blindly. If you are maximizing and if you also have a constraint with greater than equal to sign, then this table will give you wrong result. First, convert your problem statement into either of these, right? And as I was saying, what is primal, what is dual? So primal dual के लिए another, there is one confusion. People think maximization is primal, minimization is dual. This is wrong concept. Primal can be both, either maximization or minimization. Dual will be just opposite. If primal is maximization, then your dual will be minimization, this one. And if your primal is minimization, then your dual would be maximization. So know this difference. It is not like maximization is always primal, minimization is always dual. This is one thing. Now coming to what is the difference, what is primal dual. So one thing, primal and dual are like mirror image of each other, or you can say another point of view to look at the mathematical problem. So this is one resource which I had few times back. There was one story related to, it's not there. So basically how to look at different ways. So if you see your example in your lectures, they have given you, for car production, I think BMW, SUV, and Hatcher, whatever. There were three types of cars, and they were trying to make it. So the question comes from the point of perspective. If you are company, right, you will try to maximize your profit. Okay, so maximization becomes my prime objective from my point of view. But if there is another person who is trying to sell me raw material, right? So for him, it becomes minimizing his cost. So these kind of conversions happen. I mean, if I will get some chance right now that server is already down, this e-gyan course, but I'll try to see this thing later if I can share on group. But that was a good story to read what is primal and dual. It's just basically converting one point of view into another point of view. So I remember a little bit. Let me try maybe. So the thing was, there was one mother. She wanted to maximize, nutrients intake of her kids. She had two options. One was, cookies and crunchies. So, there is some cost related to this one. Let's say C1, this is C2, and then they give some nutrition. Let's say this gives vitamin A, vitamin B, and then some calorie. So she had some constraints with her that her kids should get this much amount of vitamin A, this much amount of vitamin B, this much amount of total calories, and she can make combinations of these. So her prime objective was minimize cost of this breakfast, right? So that would be C1, cost of cookie and how many cookies you have, plus C2, cost of crunchies into number of crunchies you purchase. And then constraints you will have, this should be greater than the vitamin, that should be greater than the vitamin B needed, and total from this should be, greater than calorie. This was the problem from mother side of you because she wanted to minimize her cost. So another point was a salesman's come and he gives tablets for vitamin A, vitamin B, and your calories. Okay, so he is trying to sell these things. So for him, why will a mother purchase these tablets instead of his her original cookies and crunchies? If only these tablets are giving the same results but with less cost. So for salesperson, it becomes maximizing his revenue and then some other constraints. So you can use the table to convert this problem to that way. But what I wanted to show for mother, what was her prime objective? She wanted to minimize the cost. That is why this problem is primal, because she wanted to minimize. This mathematical statement is for minimize. But for the other person, salesman, he wanted to maximize his revenue by selling the tablets. So for him, this is the prime thing. So for salesman, this becomes prime, but for mother, this becomes dual. So that is one thing. It's not like one thing is primal only, one thing is dual only. Now coming back to this question which I was showing here, your consumer and all that wala. So this question had multiple answers accepted in the final thing, because here we do not talk about any person. Like, we are not saying we want to do it for the customer or from the warehouse point of view. Okay, so that is why there were 2 3 answers which were accepted, and you can see these things, what were the given constraints and all that stuff. Probably you can search more about this consumer problem. There are quite this one, you know primal dual post, or probably you will, the more you search the better you will get answers. And I think someone did solve it entirely. Yeah, this was the question. So yeah, Arajya was the one who solved it entirely. So you should read why things were done and what was the main ones. So there are different way to get the answer, because in this one they did not specify you want to do from the point of view consumer or warehouse. But if you see other questions, they started telling you need to do this with respect to this person, you need to do this with respect to that person. So if I show this paper, this one, and if you will see the business analytics, this one, two factories A and B, again base theorem, this one, Milo survey services. Okay, here if you will read in the end, what does it say? MSS, Milo Survey Services, wanted to conduct interview so that overall cost of conducting service is minimized, right? So that is why the linear programming problem, which is minimizing the cost, is going to be my primal. That is the main thing. You cannot say you formulate a dual and that is as a primal. No, यहाँ पे we wanted to minimize. That is why primal would have a minimization problem. If let's say he wanted to maximize his revenue, so then primal would be anything which is maximizing the revenue. So how do you decide what is primal, what is dual? Read the question. From the question itself you will get the intent. What are we trying to do here? We wanted to minimize the cost. That is why the primal was having minimization problem. Okay, so and then they will ask these kind of question, what is it, what is not happening, and all that stuff. So let's come back to whiteboard. So primal dual conversion, this table is very important. This standard format is very important. And remember, primal dual, you will read the question paper and then you will get what is going to be my primal. Don't always assume maximizing is the primal one. So primal dual से इतना ही है. Maybe you can do one thing. Week 9, I think, yeah, week 9 or week 10 वगैरह में you will have shadow price के concept that is also done using this primal dual only. So have a look on this one. If they want, they can mix match the concept and give you. But अभी तक last के weeks में they are very lenient. They generally don't care. So week 5, this is all what you need to remember. How to convert, what is your standard format, because they will ask these things. What is number of constraints in the standard format? What is number of dual variable for the primal? So be ready. Like, don't think that you will get these things. If I open this thing back, see this, they are saying this thing, excluding the non-negativity constraint, how many count of constraints are present in the standard form of the primal. So you see this word standard, that is very important. You cannot write equal to constraints, because if you read, it will have lot of equal to's. So you need to convert equal to's to the that part. So this word standard alone is very important. So know what is standard and how to break equal to. So equal to will break into two parts. Let's say if I have something, uh, g of x equal to 0, it will become g of x greater than equal to 0 and g of x less than equal to 0. Again, if you have maximizing one, so we cannot allow greater than equal to, right? So we will convert this greater than equal to, again less than equal to, how? Minus का g of x less than equal to 0. So you will have two constraints coming from one equality constraint. So this is also very important. Remember how to convert equality constraints into two inequality constraint. So this is something which covers your week 5. Now coming to week 6. So again, I will first refer to the notes. Main part which you should know, what you should not do. So coming to week 6, this is all you have. Also remember these optimal pricing things. How do you find P star? How do you find P star when you want to profit maximize and all that stuff? So remember these things. Binding non-binding constraint is also very important. They ask this thing. So read it. What is binding and what is non-binding? You just have to count it. Coming to this one, week 6. Interpretation is very important. What is B1, what is B2, etc. So this one, adjusted R square also. And where was this one? Partial and marginal slope. So marginal is basically the simple regression wala slope. Partial is the multiple regression wala slope. Basically when you have more factors, that is partial slope. Now this statement is very important. Marginal and partial slope coincide if explanatory variable are independent. That means x1 का x2 से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Then this b1 b2 they will be same in my if I do y equals to simple linear regression between y and x1. So I will still get b1 here, and if I do multiple linear regression I will still get the b1 if they are independent. Independent is between x1 and x2. If they have some amount of interdependence, they are not independent, then simple linear regression wale slopes cannot come in multiple linear regression. So know this statement, marginal slope, partial slope. This video is here. You can watch this video. This covers the ANOVA table wala thing. So I will cover that thing in a short. Path diagram is very important. This also you should remember. Milomotor question में path diagram था. Milomotor question कर लेना. I think ANOVA table की सारी understanding you will get from there. Then variation inflation factor. This is very important. Variation inflation factor 1/1 minus r square. This r square is for the जिसके लिए आप check कर रहे हो. So let me take a screenshot of this one and go back to our like that. And if anyone is having any doubt, then they can raise the hand and we can answer that. So collinearity वगैरह definitions they ask. VIF is very important. Whenever you are finding, let's say VIF, if you have a model y is equals to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2 so on beta n xn. So if I'm saying find variation inflation factor just for let's say xk, that means you will be making a model xk here and all other variables here. Let's say alpha 0 plus alpha 1 beta 1. Oh, sorry, alpha 1 x1 plus alpha 2 x2 so on so forth alpha n x n. यहाँ पे you will not have this kth variable. So basically you are trying to predict, make a model for your input variable using rest of the input variables. So this is very important. And why it is important? इस model का r square जो निकलेगा, this model r square, this is being used here. So you should know how to find VIF. And sometimes they have asked this thing, percentage increase in standard error. So remember, I think I shared this on Discourse. Standard error is proportional to your under root of VIF. So what happens? Standard error in estimation of parameter, let's say beta k. So this is what you have happen. If you don't have VIF, you will have something, let's say 1. If you have some VIF, you will have under root 1, sorry, under root VIF. So percentage increase would be under root VIF minus 1 upon older one, which is 1. So you can find this in percentage and get the answer. This was asked in, I think, previous term. So check this one, percentage increase in standard error. And now let's see the ANOVA table. ANOVA टेबल में बेसिक्स आई थिंक सबके क्लियर होंगे, काफ़ी देख लिया होगा. The one thing which you should know regarding ANOVA table is what is the hypothesis which we are using. So this is, I don't know why it's not pasting. Okay. So if you have this kind of table, you will just give me a second. I'll open that table. Week 4. So I hope F statistic and all formula सबको याद होंगे, but one thing which you should remember is this one, the reading of report. This part, basically, what is your meaning of F statistic and all. So you will see this thing. यहाँ पे ये जो T statistics आते हैं, you have some hypothesis. What is that hypothesis? That you know, your variable, whatever you are estimating, beta k, that is insignificant, or you can say not significant. This is my hypothesis, and we try to reject it. So उसी हिसाब से आपका p value होना चाहिए कि whatever you are getting in your this here, this t statistic and p value, this thing should be somehow good, so that you can reject it, because your null hypothesis in these is, let's say here, first hypothesis would be my intercept is not significant. This is one thing. Here it would be slope, let's say beta 1 is not significant. So these are my null hypotheses. You should remember what is null hypothesis. T statistic and all formula वगैरह वो video में everyone has done. Also sometimes they ask, is it significant or not? So if you have p value, you can comment. If you don't have access to p value, what you can see is this thing, lower and upper. Try to look at these things. If 0 is within the range, then you can say that the variable is insignificant. Okay, if 0 is in range, variable, or you can say the slope is not sorry, that variable is not significant. This is one thing. Similarly, ऐसे ही f statistic के लिए होता है ऊपर. So वहां पे भी same null hypothesis होती है, but that is for the overall model. So this is, you know, H0 is model is not significant. Okay, so this is your null hypothesis, that model is not significant. So we want to reject this again. So do this thing, and formula वगैरह I think it's done enough. I think आशीष ने भी एक वीडियो बना दिया था जिसमें he did all the ANOVA questions, so you can check that. But remember what is going to be your stand these things, hypothesis and all that stuff. So try to remember this thing. ऊपर वाले ANOVA table में what is your hypothesis, null hypothesis, and what is the null hypothesis in the t test. So this is what you have. This is my null hypothesis, that beta 0 is 0, beta 1 is 0. That means intercept is not significant. First one is that this beta 1, which is for your price is not significant for my demand. So these things you should know, the null hypothesis and all that stuff. One more thing is that F statistic, as I said, is for overall model. T statistic which you have is for individual parameter. Okay, so ऐसा हो सकता है your overall model has a very good explanatory power, but one or two individual parameters, they don't have really good estimate, explanatory power. So remember these things. One more thing is r and r square. r को हम कहते हैं coefficient of correlation or correlation coefficient. What is the name for this one, r square? Anyone knows? Does anyone know what is the name for coefficient, this one, r square? Anyone? r square का नेम क्या होता है? No, not RMSE. No, this is called coefficient of determination. Okay, so remember these things. This is called correlation coefficient, this is called coefficient of determination, and they have done this thing. They will ask you what is coefficient of determination, what is coefficient of correlation, or how do you interpret on that, all that stuff. Also r square से related कुछ चीजें पता होनी चाहिए. So let's just take a very basic example. If you are building a model, this is my data points, and I wanted to fit a line. So let's say I fitted this line. Okay, this line is y is equals to beta naught plus beta 1 x1. This axis is for x1, this is for my y. So what is r square? So you should know r square is basically this thing. You have sum square regression upon sum square total. Okay, now the thing is sum square regression तो हर कोई निकाल लेता है, which is called as SSREG. It would be basically y actual minus y predicted का whole square. You do this thing, summation for all values. Sum square total जो होता है, what is this thing? So r square is basically telling us how our model is good than the baseline model. And what is baseline model? कोई भी वैल्यू मुझे x1 की मिलेगी, I will just give output y hat. So this line which you see here, this is the baseline model y hat, and that is why अगर आप अपने this equation SS regression में ही, if you are predicting only y hat regardless of your x1 x2 whatever you have, you are just saying I will take all the actual y values, I will take the average, and whatever be my x values, I don't care, I will just output y hat. Okay, sorry, y bar, basically mean. So if you are always outputting y hat, this becomes actual y minus every time I'm giving y bar. So this is the main thing. You are comparing how good your model is, what you have created, this is what you have created with respect to the baseline. Because anyone, if they don't know anything, they don't even want to make a model, you have some values of x, y hat is the easiest thing which you can say. So that is what sum square regression r square tells you about. And you will see this terminology a lot, what percentage of variability in y is explained by x. So this kind of questions you need to refer to this thing, this one, r square. How much you are able to explain variability using your model. So you calculate r square, you are comparing to this thing. Baseline model anyone can make. So you are trying to say that my model is this much better than the baseline model. This is for my baseline model, this is for model we have created. So that is what r square is. Again, एक होता है adjusted r square. Read the definition, why do we use this thing, and इसका फॉर्मूला क्या होता है? So 1 minus r square n minus k n minus k minus 1. No, I think n minus k नीचे आता है. So this is something you should be aware of, what you do, what you not do. Yeah, n minus, no, it's correct. So this is what you should know, that what will happen. And adjusted r square पे questions काफी आते हैं. This is n minus 1, sorry. So adjusted r square पे 2-3 things which you should remember is, again, that one, they will give you a passage and they will say this was my old adjusted, they will say old r square, they will say I added let's say 2 variables. This is my new r square. This is my new adjusted r square. Is this variable significant or not? If they give you both things, new r square, new adjusted r square, you need to check, is this valid or not? You need to check that. If they are only giving you old r square, this one, and then they are giving you new r square, also how many variables they added, then you can directly find the adjusted r square and then make a comment. But if they are giving you both new r square as well as adjusted r square, then you need to check, is this adjusted r square correct according to this new r square or not? So then you can comment if that is happening or not. So r square से बस इतना ही आता है. So या दैट्स ऑल आई वुड से. इसमें ये चीज़ ध्यान रखना, दिस वन, जो null hypothesis which is going to be correct or not and all that stuff. When is a variable significant or not, these things are quite common. So check the milomotor question, that was quite good. You will be good to go with that. And yeah, I don't think week 6 तक ऐसा कुछ आएगा. So any doubt anyone or any question? How to get SSC? SSR formula is wrong. Yes, he is right. Y minus phi hat is for, no, this is for your that one. So correct. But this is sorry, ये वाला formulas you can check the actual this one. This I think is wrong. Yeah, but this thing, regression and total wala thing, this you should remember. What is the correct notation and what is going to happen. So this, basically the main idea was what is your going to be r square ka definition. R square is how much your model is better than the baseline model. So remember this thing. What is your regression wala thing. So let me come here. Wait, so this link is here and you can refer this one exactly for your ANOVA related calculation, SSR, SSC वगैरह के लिए. So sum square total is that only, y minus y bar. Sum square regression is basically y predicted minus y bar. What I wrote is basically sum square error. This is sum square residual or error, sum square residual. So another way was 1 minus SS residual upon SS total. This is residual. Sum square regression was yi minus yi predicted y bar ka whole square. So these things you should remember the definition and how it's comparing and what that thing is. So now let's just quickly go for week 7. Week 7 में सबसे important is your reading of the matrix, your confusion matrix. So please remember how to read the confusion matrix and all that stuff. I have already done that video. I think it's already with you all. I will just take one small example for the confusion matrix, how to read it. This is what you will have in your confusion matrix. Most of the time they will give you actual on this side, predicted on this side, but make sure you read it. Don't blindly follow what is written. I mean, blindly assume something. See what is written or not. So how do I read it? So let's just take one cell, for example. Let's say this one. What does this cell tell me? This tells me that 2 were actually dog, but my model predicted it to be cat. Okay, so this is how you read it. 2 were actually dog, but my model predicted them to be cat. Similarly, if we are reading for, let's say, this one, pig, so what it says that there were 3 cats which my model said to be as pig. Okay, so know this thing, and then that definition, precision, recall, and all that stuff. So if you have this kind of matrix, precision is nothing but true positive upon true positive plus false positive. Basically, how many things I have said positive, right? This denominator is all the things which I told to be positive. But actually, how many things are positive? So this is numerator, the true positives, and everything which I said to be positive is in the denominator. So know this difference. Also, a easy way to remember is precision के लिए you do the column sum. So if I'm saying precision for dog, so what it would be, all these people 2, 5, 2, these are predicted as dogs by my model. So that means all these things will come in my denominator, 2 plus 5 plus 2. Now, what is my actual dog count? It is going to be this one, 5. So this is going to be precision for my dog class. Similarly, when we talk for recall, give me a second. When we talk for recall, we have this thing, true positive upon true positive plus false negative. Why? You can remember this is that way. Recall me, you will have row sum in the bottom, in the denominator. So if I'm saying, tell me recall of cat, can anyone tell me what will be recall of cat? What will be recall of cat? This is, basic. How do you say? These are the three things, which were actually cat. That means 5 plus 2 plus 3, which means 10 cats were in my sample. I had 10 cats actually. But my model said I have only this 5 cat out of these 10. Okay. So this is, how I write my recall. The actual matching column 5 is coming from both cat, and then the row sum 5 plus 2 plus 3. So you have 5 by 10. Remember, conversion to percentages, decimal, you can check, and that is up to you. But precision recall may they ask this thing, and then that word, remember these two also, sensitivity and specificity. These two things are also they ask. So remember this one as well. Check in the what do I say, live session or probably quiz 2 के notes वगैरह. You will see the definition. So this is all related to your what do I say, confusion matrix. And another type of question which comes from this week is, they will give you some linear boundary. Z is equals to beta 0 plus beta 1 x1 plus beta 2 x2. Beta values will be given to you. These two will be in table. Plug in the value, get your Z, and then find the probability. Probability is sigmoid of Z. This Z is what? This is log of odds. So remember, this is not probability. This is one mistake which people do. So remember, this Z is log of odds. Probability is sigmoid of Z. Sigmoid ka formula is 1 upon 1 plus e की power minus z. So this is what you have. If you're calculating sigmoid of Z, you just take this formula. Remember, to do this thing, there are a lot of questions. I think quiz 2 के लिए practice करा होगा. So I'm not going into exact numerical, but do this. These two questions I think you can expect for sure. So be very confident in confusion matrix in this kind of question and your ANOVA table. I think bare minimum 25 to 30 marks you can score with this basic knowledge. VIF, adjusted R square. These 2 weeks are alone very important. So I mean, out of 40, 20 marks alone these 2 weeks will carry. So be very confident of these 2 weeks. Then comes your week, these things. Week 9, week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is just a summary. Regarding these weeks, watch the live sessions. All important information is conveyed there, or you can check the TA session. You will have enough question. First one is frontier wala thing. So try to remember, what is efficiency frontier and all that stuff. How do we find that thing? Another one would be linear programming wala question. So we will see this question. It's very common which they ask. So let's come to this one. You see, they will give you some data for this and that, and you have this thing. So when you read, you get the answer. Each sale office has an approved budget and team size for achieving a fixed target of this thing. So when you see fixed target, that means you are dealing in a two input, one output situation. So in this case, you have the situation like this. So here they will, what ask, what is objective function? What is, type constraint? What is, constraint is not for this office. So how do you figure out? If you remember, LPP problem is basically, how can I write here? Give me a second. Okay, so yeah, this is what you will have. So they will say, find the objective function. What is objective function in the linear programming? If you remember it by words, that is very important. Maximize efficiency of DMU K. Okay, DMU K. This is my thing. And constraints are efficiency of all DMUs. Efficiency, let's say 1, efficiency of 2, efficiency of k, and then till n, how many you have. Okay, this should be, less than equal to 1, less than equal to 1. These are all my things. So this is my linear programming if you want to remember by words. Maximize efficiency of this DMU, and these are my constraints. How do I convert this thing? Because efficiency, will not be a linear function, so we cannot use linear programming. But we remember what is efficiency: weighted output upon weighted input. So what do? We say assume weighted input is equals to 1. So this now becomes one constraint alone, and then you have maximize weighted output. Okay, so that is what should be here. So we want to maximize something, and that should be weighted output. And what is my output? We only have one output because this was, input. Budget was input 1, team size was input 2. So these things you cannot have two outputs. That is not possible. It would be this one. Also, the weights which you see here, the second part, like y, I, j, the second part is for your DMU. Which DMU are we talking for? And this is basically which input और आउटपुट वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ. सो जब भी हम लीनियर प्रोग्रामिंग बनाएंगे, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, if here we were saying, for DMU3, this was given in the question, you are trying to maximize efficiency of DMU3. So that is why the second part should be 3. Similarly, if they give you, you want to do it for DMU2, the second thing here would be, y1, 2. This would be for your DMU2. So this is one important thing by how you eliminate options or not, because this, when you see, this is, talking for DMU1 and this is weight for DMU2. So this is completely wrong. This is not correct. So this is, basically maximize weighted output, and there was only one output and we were doing for DMU3. That is why we have y13, because 1 is for one output, or you can say first output. 3 is for my DMU. So remember this thing. Similarly, there are more questions which are like this. So let's see these questions. You see here, another option was this one: maximize 3 y32. The issue here is this is talking for DMU number 3 and output number 3rd. Okay, how do I read this thing? Y is basically weight of outputs, and 32 tells me output number 3 of DMU number 2. पहली बात तो हम DMU3 की बात कर रहे थे. If you read this question, you formulate a DEA problem using linear programming for sales office 3, right? हम 3rd office की बात कर रहे थे. That is why this one y32 is wrong, because y32 is telling us output third output and second DMU. So we were talking of 3rd office, therefore the second part y ka, the subscript, this should be 3, like this. This tells me weight of first output of 3rd DMU. This is correct. Then they are asking what is type constraint. If you remember, I told you we assume weighted input should be equal to 1. So that is the same thing again, because we were talking of DMU number 3, sales office 3. Therefore, 3 should be in the second part. This part which you are seeing, x13, x23, that is needed. This is the correct one because 3 should be in the second part, and this has to be equal to 1. It has not to be less than equal to. So remember, type constraint में it has to be equal to. And what is another thing, because हम DMU3 की बात कर रहे थे, तो 3 should be the second one, IJ में second one. And this part, x13 tells me weight of first input for DMU3, weight of second input for DMU3. So this is how you read this thing. Weighted input should be 1. This was my type constraint. You got this answer. This is wrong because less than equal to is not needed. We need strict equality. Another one, greater than equal to, not possible. So we need strict equality. That is why this was the correct one. Then they are asking which of them is not a constraint for the linear programming pertaining to sales office 3. Okay, sales office 3 की बात हो रही है. So what you can see, again, this is just the same thing. This is weighted output, this is weighted input. So weighted output upon weighted input should be less than 1, right? This is basically sending the denominator to this side. That is how you end up having this one. So let's see why this was done. Okay, so this says which is not a constraint for LP problem that way. So the issue comes, 2000 was fixed for everyone, so this is okay. X13, this we have the data set here, 40 and 40. So you have 40 and 40. It is telling me first output, third, not a constraint. So because all these are my correct constraints, therefore none was the option. Why? Because see, everyone is having with respect to third DMU, right? This is weight of first input of DMU3. This is weight of, sorry, this was output. This is weight of first input for DMU3, weight of second input for DMU3. So when we are making problem for DMU3, sales office 3, all the weights will be for this only. So जहां पे भी आपको यहाँ कोई option, let's assume it would be like this, 2 2 1 2 and this way, then I can say this is a not a constraint. So therefore I would have selected this one because we were using DMU3, we were making problem for DMU3, therefore all the weights should be for DMU3. And jitne bhi option you are seeing here, they have weight for DMU3, so they are your correct constraints. These are the correct constraints, and they are asking which is not a constraint. So these are actually your constraints, therefore all these are correct and none of this is the correct option which you need to select, because all these are correct constraints. These are talking about that only. You can check 20,000 was the capped version, this was input. 40, 400,000, 40. You have same thing here. 400,000 was my first input, weight is also for my first input, right? Input 1. This is input 2, 14, and weight is for input 2, 2. So you can check it like this from the table. 356 000, 356 000, and 10. So this is how you check this thing. This is also very common. They have started asking this thing, linear programming, how it is formulated. So remember how it is done. And then efficiency frontier, again you should know how to plot. If it is input wala frontier, it would be closer to origin. If it is output 1, output 2 wala, it should be away from the origin. So remember this thing. And yeah, these are some important factors. One more thing was this thing, statistical approach and your mathematical approach. Okay, in mathematical you will have pairwise data. If you have any kind of data, it is collected pairwise, it has to be mathematical approach, which is basically same as linear programming. What do we do in linear programming? Minimizing poorness of fit. This is what we do. Remember this thing, very important, that in linear programming of your conjoint analysis, you do minimizing poorness of fit, and this is also known as mathematical approach. Data is in pairwise format. Statistical approach is also known as regression. You use here, this is called as mathematical approach. Data is in continuous form. So remember these things. Very common, they ask, they will give you pairwise data was collected, which analysis technique you will use, mathematical or statistical, or they will say linear programming or regression. So you should know which is doing what. And yeah, this is probably what you will be asked. Mathematical, statistical, sometimes they ask this kind of thing. They will give you this, they will say this is a ideal product, this is product number 1, this is product number 2. They will give you distances, they will tell this distance is d2, this distance is d1, d2 is greater than d1. Then they will ask which product will you prefer. So you will have to choose which product will you prefer. So preferred is distance between that product and ideal product, basically this thing. The more it is closer to ideal product, the more you will prefer it. So this is what you should remember. Okay, so I think this is needed. This one was done. If I'm missing anything, I don't think so. So this is all you should know. There is one more question. This one HCU wale questions. Probably it's very common. You should know. You calculate the weightage given here. If they add up to one, that is good enough. If they don't, you normalize and then you take the weightage from here. That is all you need to do. Practice all these HCU wale question, graph wale question. They are very easy and very scoring. This part last ke 4 weeks is very scoring and it actually carries some weightage, good weightage. So these questions are just you look at them and you do that. There is not much numerical needed. So last ke 4 weeks I would not suggest anyone to drop them. Coming to this part, I hope the one which I was telling you, betas are given, you make some equation and then you predict this thing, accuracy, precision, etc, etc. So do this thing. Efficiency frontier, first of all it is needed to understand you have which situation. They are saying there are two inputs and one constant output. So this is an input wala constraint. So you will have frontier which is closer to the origin, right? So 1, 3 and 5 will be on my economic frontier or efficiency frontier, which DMU are reference for DMU2. So अगर आप origin से join करोगे 2 को, it will intersect 1 and 3 वाली line. So therefore 1 and 3 is my reference for DMU2. Similarly, which DMU are reference for DMU4? So draw line for origin, join origin and DMU4. Efficiency frontier would be cutting this line, 3 and 5 wala line. So therefore you have answered 3, 5. This is very common. ऐसे ही एक there was question called as chai output question, something like that. There they just gave you table like this and they asked you which would be on the efficiency frontier. So here you are dealing with two input, one output. So just select minimum budget, minimum team size. Those two will be surely there. So just plot like this roughly, and you will get to know which is going to be on frontier or not. So last ke 4 weeks, give some time to this linear programming problem. Try to understand it, how it was formulated. Maybe watch the lecture, more than enough. And last 4 weeks are very good. So I mean, do them for sure. You will get a lot of marks. Let me show you something more. This thing. What format of data is needed to perform conjoint analysis using statistical or linear regression approach, right? Which kind of data is needed? Statistical or linear regression approach ke liye, we need continuous thing, right? So we need consumer choice, which is rating or ranking. Value of the product attributes are categorical. This also you can convert in the that format. The only issue here is pairwise data, this one and this thing. Continuous attributes you cannot convert. You need attributes in the discrete format. So ratings or ranking or the attribute should be discrete. so that you can convert them. So that is why these two are there. You can watch TA session or you can see the recording by Swami sir on YouTube. That is more than enough. You don't need a lot of things. Again, linear programming का objective function, minimizing poorness of it. Similarly, conjoint analysis is having continuous variable, right? Data is collected in a pairwise order. So they give you something like this. Continuous hai, but still it is pairwise data, right? So whenever you see pairwise order, it has to be optimization, or you can say the linear programming approach. Okay. So you should remember this thing. See, this option also has optimization, but optimization and statistical are different, right? Regression and statistical are same. Therefore, this option is wrong. So, they will confuse maybe with little names and all that stuff. Similarly, this thing. In conjoint problem, 4 product, 2 attribute. How many pairwise preferences are possible? Pairwise की जब भी बात होगी, you are only concerned with number of products. Okay? You do not care कितने attribute हैं. Pairwise preferences only care about the number of product. It would be 4C2. Don't get confused, that too is different. That too is because of pair, not because of attribute. Even if you have 4 product and 10 attributes, still it will be 4C2. So remember, if you have n products, number of pairwise preferences would be nc2. So remember that thing, very important. People get confused with this extra information. So solve some questions from your practice assignment or your pyqs. Last 4 weeks are very scoring. Aram se you can get good marks from there. And practice this what do I say, confusion matrix, linear regression wala approach, and then this one, these things, again, coefficient of, this thing, you know correlation coefficient is given to you, and then you make these things. So this is what you should know. Blood pressure is affected. The correlation between these variable is given. So you are given r, you are not given r square. Okay, so you need r square here. Okay, these things, how much variability is explained using this thing. So that is basically r square. Then they will ask VIF, again using r square. So these things you should know. Where can we get assignment solution of the practice assignments? No assignment solution are given. If you have doubt, you can ask it on Discourse, but just practice PYQ, that is much better approach. So I think, yeah, this is all you should know. Please, if you have any doubt, we still have 15 minutes. We can go ahead. Else, I'm done from my side. If there is any doubt, then you can let me know. Any specific question, any specific topic or something, you can do that. Okay. Anyone, any doubt, any question?
If possible, can we solve the quiz 2 question, ANOVA question once?
It was solved, right? Discourse pe they have given the solution. The main problem which I remember student faced was they don't know mean square error. If you take square root, you end up having standard error, which is given above. So that is one thing which people don't remember. Else, in my opinion, this, let me share this one. They gave you a lot of things. So if you remember this thing, standard error which you are seeing here, 1.685, this is square root of your mean square residual, 2.84. Take a square root, you will get 1.68. Okay, so remember this thing, mean square residual, take the square root, you get standard error. That is all what was needed. Another thing which was needed was that sum square total is going to be same if you are having same data set. Why I'm saying these things? You should, read the discourse which post which we have been sharing. So every term there is, correction. Read those posts. You will see why something was said, why something was not said. So if you go to this correction, basically your Jan 2025 quiz 2, you will see these things, what was done, what was not done, and you will see the way people answered, what they forgot. So, I think a lot of people forgot that only. This one, this thing, this person was correct. This one, F statistic is this, and then all that stuff. But many people forgot a lot of things. So if you don't remember the formulas, if you don't remember the relationship, you will struggle. And another thing which was needed here was this thing. If you see in the question paper for this quiz, sum square total will remain same, because sum square total, if you remember the formula, by definition it is y predicted, sorry, y minus y bar. So y bar will be same for all the models if you are not changing your data set. That is why, that is how they play. So remember the formulas, remember the, what do I say, your basics. See this thing. There was this somewhere here, sir told it, if you will read it, probably you will see here why sir told this, what is going to be correct, what is not. So you can see these things. Read the entire script in the chat. You will know what was the mistake which student made, what mistake you can make, because every time people repeat the same mistakes, and this is what you will get. Okay, so try to read the posts, not
Sure.
just get the answer.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone, any more doubt, any question, any specific topic which you have problem with, then you can let me know. Else I will paste the PDF which I used on the chat, and you can refer that. Okay, so anyone, if you have doubt, then raise your hand. Else I think I'm done from my side. um, do you have any doubt? Okay,